Welcome to AKHAND Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Today we are going to talk about reincarnations. Again and again, cycle of birth, death and rebirth, and what is the objective and number one, and what is the divine design of reincarnation to reach impeccable wisdom as I have reached. And how I have reached this particular stage is something which I want to share without without mentioning or talking about any individual life as such, but the process I'm going to share. Please look at this particular picture which is there in the center. You can see a soul right on top. That is descent of Mahashakti, the soul within the human body. You can also see the head of a child of 22 weeks and a soul as it enters from there into the physical body and how it comes and settles down in Muladhara Chakra where it sleeps. And what it happens and how we proceed on from the level of no knowledge to the level of impeccable wisdom as I perceive that I have given the DIVYANK to the world for the first time in the history of mankind, I have also explained some of the concepts from spirituality and science together and shown this is the kind of wisdom which the world needs without any defect of any nature, which every child throughout the world can understand, from school, college to the university, to have a uniform syllabus, and that is understood by every child, and there, as a result, every child can be a good student and become a good teacher, become a good research scholar, become a good author, and become a perfect person to make the entire universe as a custodian of the world. Now, as I understand spiritual wisdom as such, with which the human beings are designed as Lokpalan, custodians and guardians, and how we can achieve that in one life or many lives, and how much we can achieve in one life, how many lives are required to proceed, and how much conscientious effort has to be taken to become one with the entire universal wisdom at your fingertips. That and knowledge of the entire universe from A to Z of all the 64 arts, which are perfect quote of the value, can be understood, recorded in the human brain, nervous system, and how it can be reproduced with a new symbolic language which I call AKHAND. This has been one of the greatest achievements in my, and I make it very clear, I wouldn't have been able to do had that kind of knowledge not available. If men and human beings were not in a process of analyzing things systematically, step by step, I wouldn't have been able to do. So as a result, I am grateful to everyone who has shared the knowledge from A to Z entire world. But there is one thing which stands out in me to find impeccable wisdom by analyzing from all the possible angles and then seeing now this is the knowledge which fits, everything else is defective. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but I think having brought Divyank to the world, brought Akhand Vidyashram to the world, Akhand Vidya to the world, let me share my concept to the best of my ability and leave it to the world how they want to use it for spiritual evolution or not. Now, reincarnation in religion and philosophy, rebirth of aspect of an individual that exists after the death of the physical body. We are born, we live life, and we die. What we do during this particular process of the life in first stage is get recorded in shape around the orbit of our indwelling soul. Let me make it very, very clear. Kan Sharira, the causal body, is responsible for taking to the next birth. For the first time when you are born, soul, which is Aditi, helium 4, which is produced in the sun god, comes out and gets into a growing fetus at 22 weeks to start with, has a much more clear idea of redesigning the physical body to the perfection. If you are lucky to have that, you'll have a perfect human body with a perfect genetic structure, perfect unfolding, and that's it. But what you learn the entire lifespan, a sense of that is put into one shield around with all the passwords to go and log on to the information of AKHAND Kosh, you can call it, the treasure of the universe, which is in the ionosphere layer of the earth's element. I'm talking about the individuals like us living on the earth. I'm not talking of anyone other than me, and me alone. It's my experience, my understanding, which I'm leaving behind for others to understand and build on it, or they have to find their own way of exploring it. This is one concept I'm sharing for the love of the universe. Number one. Then after death, how we take birth and we go to the next stage, and how many stages it might take to reach to the impeccable wisdom of Akhand or Divyank I'm talking about, depends upon the kind of work, the kind of thoughts, kind of actions, kind of clarity, kind of conception person goes through. There is no individual, but I do believe to reach Divyank level, Akhand level, which I have reached from my experience, I would have taken at least more than 22 lives, which are significant, but there is no use for me to talk when but I can tell you, I could be called one of the oldest living soul because I can understand the real depth of Vedas, Upanishads, and all the scriptures of the world, and of course, all the science which we know, all the truth we know, all the conception we know to the clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with. Now, from that angle, different people have a different thing, but this particular concept of reincarnation is more popular in Southeast Asia, particularly India, China, much more than the rest of the world. But other people are talking about maybe Greek, orphans, and other salvation, more from knowing things as modern religion, of theosophy, or philosophy otherwise. I'm not going to go to details of different religions. My focus is only to talk from my experience as I see how I have come to this particular stage. So as a result, after my autobiography, which is a very condensed form which I have given, now I'm going to explain different concepts step by step so that this book becomes like living encyclopedia. That's it. My dharma is impeccable wisdom. I have already told. My greatest discovery is Divyank, and it is made of 22 by 21 to the power of 10.344, equivalent to 1 point. As a result, this mathematical design is with which the perfect object of the entire universe, I mean spiral galaxy, as well as solar system, as well as we the human beings, designed as one. And as I can say, Pindant, the human body, and Brahmand, the solar system, or Mahabrahmand, spiral galaxy, are identical only. And since they are identical, we look out to the universe for all the information we look forward, and the information is available in Akash Kosh, at least from where I get all my wisdom. Then I relate with the light of modern science to understand how it could be understood, explained for the benefit of the next generation. Has been my concept very clear. Now, Divyank I have converted into new graphic presentation. As you can see very clearly, the outer one is 22 by 21, which I say very clearly. There are minimum 22 levels of consciousness we got to know, because the solar system is made of 21 parts. to go beyond to the liberation, moksha, we need to take 22nd step. And each of the 22 steps is an important level in reaching the universal consciousness. And that is graphically presented because the words written in different forms, whether it is Sanskrit, Tamil, or any other language of the world, has a certain ambiguity, many differences, and we cannot explain things as such. That is also one of the reasons to convert entire wisdom into symbolic language, which I have done with this particular picture, which is called DIVYANK. I have also explained same thing I converted to another picture called AKHAND, which has got more specified aspects of all the 64 arts. All the aspects from A to Z of the entire universe is there. And what I'm talking about is from my experience of 10 stages of development within the physical body, which is one part, and 22 levels of solar system, and it's a relationship with my indwelling soul, the importance of Aditi with the helium 4. What is the importance of 4 there? Then Gayatri with 10 arms, but neon 21 as such. What is the role of neon 21, particularly neutrons 11? In helium is 2 neutrons, 2 protons, 2, there is no difficulty at all. But when it comes to the neon 21, it is 10 electrons, 10 protons, and 11 neutrons. And that particular juncture, let me explain very clearly from my understanding. Electron is a Shakti force and proton is a Shakta force. But neutron has got Shakti and Shakta both. It is the proton plus electron put together become electron. That means you have already taken 11 steps to reach neon 21 to understand what it is. And that is what Divyank's first part is. You have to have first reach the level of neon 21, which leads to 22, then go to 10 stages to come to what universal consciousness. If as a perfect human being, neon 21 is more than enough to understand this. But when going to Adi Prashakti is 8, and I do say it's organ 40. That means you have 18 protons, 18 electrons, but you have 22 neutrons. And anyone who can receive that of organ 20, organ 40 with 22 neutrons, you reach this level of universal consciousness. That's what is called Adi Prashakti. And who can have the 22 levels, you can reach the level of Adi Prashakti. You understand human body completely, you understand solar system completely, you understand spiral galaxy completely, you understand the external world also complete to go beyond the solar system, a spiral galaxy, beyond the Milky Way to the entire universe. You need Adi Prashakti. So that is what in the form of subatomic structures I am leaving behind. This is what I understand, and this is within the rules of the science itself. I am not saying from my pocket, it is something which is set. I am correlating with my experience and say this is reincarnation. You are born, you learn, you die, you take birth and then move on. But only thing which is important as we evolve to the higher and higher levels is self-realization. And first self-realization would be only when you are able to experience Aditi within you. As a result, all the atomic, elemental, molecular, compounds and other things, the human body of 100 trillion cells, you can understand. You can experience the beauty of the self, and you can also understand Mooladhara Chakra, which has got power of 4. Aditi also has got power of 4. 2 electrons, 2 protons, and so on. But as a result, you can also understand the power of Swadhisthana Chakra, which has 6. And that is also mathematical design, I've been saying very clearly. Once you are able to feel one with your soul, you understand the beauty of both Mooladhara and Swadhisthana Chakra, which I always say is with Apana Prana, it is with Brahma consciousness. You have reached one level of Brahma consciousness within your body, and that is what I call it 22 by 21 as such. Then with that one realization of one aspect, you would experience the beauty of Aditi within you and all the physicalized structure one part. Then you take birth, you die, you become like a god and goddess on their own. Then you have to take birth again for the next stage. You get into a new physical body at 22 weeks thereafter of pregnancy, transform the body into much higher perfect level, and then as a result you lead a much better life. But during the second life, you take one of the 64 arts or two or three, try to start mastering, and after understanding impeccable wisdom of that particular thing, you die. Then you take birth again to new form of body with a 22 weeks, and then learn another subject. As a result, you can go on learning at least 10 subjects to understand all the 10 centers of your consciousness. Within the first birth, you can easily understand the beauty of Muladhara and Swadhisthana. But understand 10 plus chakras as centers of consciousness which are connected with all the endocrine glands, autonomic nervous system, understand the superconscious levels of awareness and become aware. You need 10 plus incarnations or 10 levels of that. But I'm sure someone hereafter might be able to do it better, because this knowledge of perfect human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and psychology being shared. If somebody is a super conscious student listening to this particular concept very clearly and flowing with the kind of knowledge which I'm sharing, you would be able to sit at home and experience the beauty with the faith and move on. So one life itself, you might be able to see one with this. But then after that one experience of all the 10 plus chakras of the body, you come to actually second birth. And after that, you got to take birth again, maybe another 22 times, to reach all the 22 levels of solar system and go beyond the solar system. Only then you understand solar system completely, spiral galactic completely. So this is going to be a long journey for anyone, but it's never too late. You have to start at some stage, and I think you start with this particular concept. Okay, this is the perfect theoretical knowledge. But then I can tell you, unless until you have a faith that this is impeccable wisdom, unadulterated, truth to the core, can take you from death to immortality, untruth to the truth, and ignorance to knowledge, and disintegration to this, that faith is required for moving on. And that is the faith of information which was in religion to unite people, but unfortunately, original scriptures have not been understood. They have been so we are trying to understand commentaries or others which have led to many man-made concepts, including in science, including in mathematics, including in physics, including in chemistry. So whatever information we have on the earth for all the people of the world is fully defective. That is something which I have realized in this life. Maybe that is the reason I'm trying to analyze what could be the perfect mathematical design. And I find the perfect mathematical design is DIVYANK only. Every other concept of the universe, which we call it Fibonacci sequence, golden ratio, pi, other concepts with infinite number of digits, do not lead you towards that. It only confuses you into the number of digits which are unwanted, uncalled for. Number you require is this, so that you have clarity and you can understand from atomic to molecular to compound to the cells to the entire universe structure. Length, breadth, depth is one part. Einstein talked about fourth as a time and space, but I know it is 10.344 dimensions which are important. Modern science might talk about it 11 dimensions, string theory. I agree. But it is not 11 dimensions, it's 10.33 which is to be precise, concise, with which the design of the nature had done it. Let us not deviate it with our mind. Let's flow with one which unites everything. And that is what Akhandata is about. Know the one, knowing which everything is fully known completely, without any problem whatsoever. That is stage is Divyank, that is stage of Akhand, and that is the kind of information which I am giving one by one. So far, we create an impeccable wisdom. Now, having given you the old background idea, now I'm going to show you certain slides one by one to show how they were unfolded. There's much more information in those slides, but I will be only touching on one or two parts to give you an idea that at leisure you can go through that an entire work of mine to be one with universal consciousness, and that is going to lead you perfectly physically healthy, wealthy, wise, happy, prosperous life for generations to come. And that is moksha, that is immortality, that is the kind of life without any constraint or restraint whatsoever. And this concept is very clear in this particular picture that within every body we can have the perfection from A to Z. We can have the experience of soul as Arjun and also soul of super consciousness, but Krishna talks about it. We can have the concept of Tret Pravidya, Jivatma, Antaratma, and Brahman. All the three put together are represented in this particular picture. See it. Now I'm going to talk to you about Aitreya Upanishad, which talks about the Cosmic Purusha for the first time. But most interesting things have there which people have not been able to understand. And that is the kind of wisdom is required for you to go further. So as an example, how to analyze, to read old concepts and bring out the depth system. This particular Upanishad is one of my favorite because Upanishads describe very well, but they give you thought to understand. So first concept is soul created three words, that heaven, the ambos, effulgence, and marikas, atmosphere. The soul, first water part, the amba is 61.803%. Then you have light, and then you have solid element, earth element, 38.19. Once the three trinities are understood, your starting point is very, very clear. Then after forming that particular thing, the whole fetus is made, a guardian is made, and that looks in three forms, as you can see, trigeminal layer as such. And as a result, the whole person is unidentified as a cosmic Purusha according to chapter 1, section 1 to 3. But then nature produces 8 different divinities or aspects which I relate with Mata Vaishno Devi with 8 arms and also with oxygen. That is important. Then the first divinity is mouth and speech, which I relate with water, upper water, taste, mouth, and speech is first divinity. Second divinity is the nostrils and breathing with the air element, Vayu Bhuta, and touch and skin. Third divinity I talk with eyes and sight, Divya Drishti, which is the fire element, Agni Bhuta, sun and light, as you can see. Fourth divinity which I talk about is ears, hearing, Shruti, quintessence, Akash Bhuta, and direct hearing. This is what Vedas are all about. Shruti, we could hear the sound of the divine in this particular concept is one of the 8 divinities important. Then fifth divinity is skin, hair, plants, trees, Prithvi Bhuta, touch, and this is what 38.1966% is all about. Then sixth divinity is heart, mind, moon. And these are the concepts with emotions, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and Chandran, and mind and heart are interconnected. And that is the reality as a sixth thing. which Aitreya Upanishad is talking about. Then the seventh divinity is navel, which is for out breath. And they say this is responsible, the center, which is important. And at this juncture, does not talk anything about it. He says, seventh is Apana Prana, with which the things are thrown out. And it is connected with navel, is one hint given. That is in Navi and central and done. And eighth divinity is reproductive system, which is a help to procreate the next generation by and large. It is a reproductive systems of male and female, sperms and ovum, which play an important role for procreation for the next generation, which becomes another birth for the same person. And that's it by itself. All these eight divinities can be seen to produce in the first trimester of the pregnancy. As you can see, the sperm and ovum get together and fertilize, become a zygote. How it takes rest for 1.5 days, then start developing into binary stage from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, 16, 34, and how in different phases it goes on. And within the first 3 months, it has come to the stage all the eight divinities are produced within the physical earth body, which was unidentified to start with. Now it start getting a particular form with eight. That is what is done in the first trimester of 12 weeks or maybe 11 weeks. Then section 2 comes up that eight divinities fall into the ocean. They become conscious, they are in ocean, and ocean person is subject to hunger and thirst because now child has to go further. It needs food. Now divinities are given who is going to eat food one by one. Who, what shape to give it to this particular form which was unidentified. Then nature brings it the cow. The soul thinks this is not ideal for me to grow. Then second thing which is brought is a horse. He said this is also not powerful. Cow is very gentle. This is too powerful. This is not the shape which is fit enough to have the universal consciousness as a custodian. It was both beautifully shown. The third phase which brings it is the human form. When human form is brought, the divinity said, well done. This is the right thing to be a perfect human being, to be in tune with universal consciousness. It has got all the potentials to be in tune with the entire universal consciousness. It's very clear in this particular picture. Then it talks about eight cosmic powers, which I have spoken about earlier, how they are connected with different organs. The fire gets connected with speech and eats the mouth. Air with breathable enters the nostrils. Sun, sight and the eyes. Space with the hearing and the ears. Plant, trees, etc. become hair and enter the skin. Moon becomes our navel and heart. Death becomes a part from the out breath through the navel. It comes out in the beginning stages. Water becomes the semen and enters the testes and unites with sperm to produce the next generation. This is something now element how different organs are getting associated, how unidentified person is taking a human form in this form is something beautifully explained. But and this particular concept can very clearly seen in the second trimester when eight divinities reach into this stage and 11 weeks to 22 weeks reaches the form when entire shape is formed fully. Unidentified to identified form fit enough to get the soul within for the next stage is seen in second trimester itself. At the end of second trimester, 22 weeks, we are in tune for entry of the soul. Then comes a section of hunger and thirst told the soul. Now find the abode of entry. From which organ, which system, which divinity you're going to take that. This is the most interesting part of the Aitreya Upanishad. And Aitreya Upanishad, let me tell you, is a representation of Rig Ved only. What is the beauty of Rig Veda is representation in very practical form in Aitreya Upanishad. Thanks to Maharishi Aitreya for done a wonderful job, given us the kind of freedom which I'm very sorry to say is gone on record. No one had understood this particular concept, and only person who understood and given to the world is Shiv Bhushan Sharma. And I'm going to bring that to the fore in this particular picture. The first soul thought, here are the guardians of the world. Let me create food for the guardians. And I have shown a tree. That means it's a plant kingdom things which are made for the human being's consumption. I'm not talking about something other than that. And whatever the food in this particular concept is coming from where, how it's coming, you're going to see that one by one. But food is there. That means what is in plant kingdom? That means atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, amino acids, molecules, and all what is meant for a human being is available in abundance in plant kingdom itself. We are supposed to be frugivorous, fructivorous human beings only. That's one part. Now taking to this first stage, first the water brooded over the water and put a form, and that form was food. That shows without water nothing can be formed. If there is no water, seed will remain as it is. Seed needs to be exposed to the water and sunlight to go for the photosynthesis or produce a product for human consumption is what it is. And the water content is 61 is so clearly shown in this particular concept. Now the food has come. Food is asked to take through the food, which whenever we think of the food, only thing we can think of is what? Eat through the mouth, put into the tongue, digest, and the process of digestion start. And this is where I say the proper definition of gastrointestinal system or digestive system is ingestion of all the nutrients, electrolytes, water, etc. through the mouth for the need of the body is something which I have explained. We need now start understanding concepts very clearly. But soul is not able, the form is not able to get it through the mouth at all, the food. That is first declaration. We do it, but the Lok Palan which is talking about, the Cosmic Purusha is talking about, cannot take through the mouth at all. This is something which is very clear. Second comes the nostrils. We can breathe through it, we can experience the breath, but we cannot take food through the nose at all. Is the second concept. Mouth cannot be used, nose cannot be used. Eyes cannot be used to receive this particular food. It cannot go. We can see with the food, we can enjoy the food, we can be one part of it, but we cannot ingest the food for survival thereafter. It's a beautiful concept. Then comes the hearing. You can hear about the food. You can enjoy the beauty of food, what others are explaining. But you cannot receive this food for this low pollen, Cosmic Purusha, which Aitreya Upanishad is talking about, or Rigveda is talking about. Then comes the question of the skin, touch. You can feel the food, you can touch the food, enjoy the food, but you cannot receive the food for the consumption of this low pollen, which Aitreya Upanishad is talking about. Then comes the heart. Heart can feel it, moon can feel it, concept can feel it, but this body, unidentified to the human form body, cannot receive this food for its survival to the next growth is not possible. Then it brings together a generative system, a regenerative system. Through that you can experience expulsion, etc. But you cannot receive food for generation of this child, Cosmic Purusha, at all. So all the seven things they say cannot do it. Then comes the question of out breath, Apana Prana, navel, can receive this particular food, not anybody else. But this particular concept, till date, on record, no one in the world before Shri Bhushan Sharma has spoken because this is the only place where food can be received and expelled. Apana means throwing it out. And also, Apana is throwing it out as well as receiving is only through that particular concept. This mystery has not been understood any deal because they are not in tune with Rig Ved. They are not in tune with Aitreya Upanishad. They are not in tune with universal consciousness. But how did I is something which is very easy. As I told you, I have a soul which tells me what has happened. Once you understand the soul tells you, then you try to find a logical answer and explain to the world. And I'm only trying to explain in the light of what is logical available information. Okay, now I'll explore that little further, but then Atma said, the body's whole body now has got the food, now it can survive. Now it's time for the soul to enter it, give it a form which it is designed to be Cosmic Purusha. That's the time said, who am I? And that comes, the soul comes in between. And that is Atma which I am talking about. And that is Atma which Ratandram talks about, cannot be cut, burnt, dissolved, identified, indestructible completely. The soul which entered at that particular juncture is what Aditi Helium 4 is all about, that I showed you in the beginning. And how it enters, and that's where soul can be related with helium 4, neon 21, argon 40, krypton and xenon are unstable. We'll not go into that. And this is where spirituality comes to shape. Because the child without spirituality has no meaning at all. The baby is divine in nature because there is Atma within the baby. And that's what makes human being as an enlightened soul, because we have this divine soul within ourselves. And that is what I'm talking about. The soul, according to Aitreya Upanishads, enters through the head, top of the head. That center is called Vidriti. It could also be called Talu. It is also called Brahmandra, called by different things. And this has got particular center when enters into the brain is through anterior fontanelle at the growing fetus. At 22 weeks it enters is something which I am trying to explain through this particular concept. Then human is formed, delivered, and we become the first Brahman birth, or the divine God has taken birth into human form, is a cosmic Purusha. It is a universal product, the way universe is perfect to the core. And that is what I experience, and I know that is what it is all about. And all these concepts are very clearly defined in the last trimester of another 11 weeks. If you leave from the first thing, so 11 plus 11 plus 11 are 33 weeks, plus another 2 weeks, and few things is what is required for the child to be born to. So I can say 11 weeks, 22 weeks to 33 weeks, and little further from completion and then taking birth is in the third trimester. Form is that by the time soul is also inside, the child is to be born. As I told you now, they said that particular fetus is thrown into ocean water. What is ocean water is actually amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid is exactly like ocean water, and every cell gets all its requirement from the ocean. Everything is thrown into the ocean. It goes on initial stages. But later, it is not the ocean water which feeds the fetus. It is the umbilical cord from mother's placenta. Supply comes from mother to the child is what is there after few weeks of that. Now, amniotic fluid, which is initially to now from the mother, is what it is talking about. That is Apana Prana. Now, as I told you, Apana Prana is throwing it out. Now the contents of the fetus are thrown out through the umbilical cord from fetus to the mother, and all the requirement of the child from the mother to this are coming through umbilical cord. The mystery is the out breath is Apana Prana, And Apana Prana can give you all. So all the mystery is clear. It is not a cosmic Purusha designed separately for the world as such. It's talking about a perfect human child who is a lok pollen for the world, produced as such, and its requirement is so beautifully hidden in Apana. And that is most interesting hidden wisdom which Upanishad talk about it, hidden wisdom which the Vedas talk about it. To get into that, you have to be in tune with universal consciousness. All the human knowledge given by different people with all the dictation, the defects and other thing is not possible. Now that I have experienced it, now I am giving you the wisdom to the core so that you can build an impeccable wisdom for the entire world. The entry of soul, as told you, full development of fetus is 21 weeks or 22 weeks. Soul can enter in 22 weeks, the anterior fontanelle. And let me also tell you, the brain can go on developing for another 22 weeks. As a result, anterior fontanelle does not close till 22 years or 23 years. And this concept is also clearly used by forensic medicine to find the date of the fetus. If it is 24 years, it will not be closed. After 24 years, it will be closed. That means the fetus, that dead body is more than 24 years. That is also science which is hidden in this particular concept very clearly. Now, come to the question of 22 levels of consciousness with the human bodies. Earth is made of 7 parts. Atal to Patal, you can see it. Then Antariksh is made of 7 parts, which is also talked about 7 chakras, which everybody else is talking about. These chakras are actually at the external world. Then you have 7 heavens, which play an important role. 7 plus 7 plus 7 is what is written in Upanishad. The solar system is made of 21 parts. To go beyond the solar system, you need the 22nd part. That is again going beyond the Bhur Bhava Swa, or to Atmic level of Om, where are you and Turiya becomes the 22nd part. One person is able to understand Turiya, he can understand 22 levels of consciousness. This is external world which I relate with argon 40. 18 protons, 18 neutrons, 22 neutrons, 18 protons, 18 electrons is what it is. And argon 40's neutrons have got 18 protons, 22 protons plus 22 electrons. That makes it complete. To reach that level, you got to go up to the some atomic structure to that detail that you are literally one with the entire universe. Microcosmic to macrocosmic, Brahman to Brahman is become one. Once you have done that, you are in tune with universal consciousness. That is what is Adi Prashakti all about. Now, this concept is very clearly I have shown in this. On top is argon 40, which has got 18 protons, 18 electrons, and 22 neutrons. Then second is the Gayatri, the 10 stages within the human body. When I'm talking about 10 plus chakras, actually 10 protons, 10 electrons, and 11 neutrons. Now, this 11 neutron is equivalent to 10.34419. Then Idhiti helium is a 4, and that is what Muladhara Chakra is. And this is represented in Shunya form. Once you are able to understand the Shunya, you know everything originated from the Shunya, and that is zero. And that is the greatest contribution of Sanatana Dharma to the world. Only with Shunya you can understand. And that is beauty of Rig Veds as well as Upanishads and ancient Indian scriptures. The Atma is like circle dot only. And this subatomic particles orbital form makes it very clear that it is elemental thing. That's it. Now, as I told you, this particular picture is the Atma which is outside, this descending into that, and through the entry it enters and takes form and sleeps in Muladhara Chakra. After 22 weeks is done. For next 22 years, the whole development nervous system to be tuned with universal consciousness. That's the period when first 7 years you should observe. Then next 14 years, you should develop the art of understanding concept clearly and then move on to the next level. That is a perfect Vidya, which I call AKHAND Vidya. And this concept is very clear now. Aditi is with the 4 is Muladhara Chakra. Now, as we say very clearly, anyone who can understand Aditya, who is the teacher of the world, you can understand Aditi, who is a mother and daughter. Both hydrogen and helium have to be understood if you want to understand spirituality completely. That's one part. Now, this particular formation of Aditya, which is hydrogen, and Aditi, which is helium-4, is shown given this picture very clearly. Sun nuclear structure from hydrogen to helium, helium to hydrogen is someone who can experience that within body. You can understand the power of hydrogen and power of helium, which are two most common elements in the universe. That will help you to move on to the higher levels of consciousness. And there are 10 stages of development which I talked through the AKHAND Yoga. And for yoga, it is not Ashtanga Yoga, will make you aware of it. But Kundalini Yoga, Antar Yoga will give you an experience of Antar Atma within the body and take it to Vaikunt. And that experience is 10 stages of Akhand Vidya. Yam, Niyam, Yogasana, Pranay, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, Kundalini Yoga Chakra. But each concept should be very clear. The information of Patanjali Yoga Sutra also, people are confused whether Dharana is a mental energy or it is uh, concentration for a short time. That concept also has to be understood very clearly. Now, once you can experience that Kundalini within you, rising from Mooladhara to Sahasrara Chakra within the body, you can experience all the 10 chakras and association with the autonomic nervous system, endocrine system, and that will give you the power of your physical bodies, thinking of every concept from A to Z within the physical body. That is first realization. Once that realization done, we can move on to the next level of concentration. And this particular picture, you can see the helium-4 in the middle. Then solar system is made of 10 parts. Is the solar system has got 10 planets. And once you understand all the 10 planets of the solar system and also 10 organs of your body and feel their association of your endocrine system, chakras, with the solar system, heavenly bodies, you are much more enlightened about the solar system. And to go beyond that 22 steps, you take it, you come to the stage of Gayatri in 11 stages. And then there are 10 stages of development which Lord Vishnu's life talks about it. And first stage, as I told you, unidentified tri-layer is what like a fish is all about. And how it is developed to the Kalki avatar is something which everyone has to understand. Once all the 10 stages are understood, you know the 10 stages is clear, there are 10 stages of development, and that is what you see in anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, everything is made of 10 parts. I have already shown it, and this I think for the day for reincarnation is more than enough for you to understand. Once you are able to understand this, you are in tune with universal consciousness. I think this is enough for very detailed information, lot of things to think about.